in the cast. Like I got, like I got. Like I got, like in the cat, like in the cat, got, like in the cat, got, like in the cat. Like in the cast, like in the like in the cast, like in the like in the like in the cast, no, like in the cast, no, like in the cast, no. Cast no chrome, cast no chrome, metallic, cast no chrome, cast no chrome, metallic. gas, no chrome metallic. Metallic pitch black all day. Snow chrome metallic, snow chrome metallic pitch. Snow chrome metallic, snow chrome metallic pitch. Snow chrome metallic pitch. Snow chrome metallic pitch. Snow chrome metallic pitch. Cast no chrome metallic pitch black all day. Pitch black all day. Stop. Pitch black all day. Stop. Pitch black all, pitch black all day. Pitch black. Black all day. Stop. Metallic pitch black all day. Stop. Metallic pitch black all day. Stop. Born with like I got. Born with like, born with. Born with like I. With like I. With like I got. With like I got. Alec in the cast, no chrome metallic. Born with like I got. Born with like I got. Alec in the cast. Alec in the cast. Alec in the cast, no chrome metallic. cast, no. Alec in the cast, Alec in the cast, no. 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 Alec in the cast, got Alec in the cast, got Alec in the cast, no chrome. Alec in the cast, no chrome metallic. Alec in the cast, Alec got Alec in the cast, got Alec in the cast.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this whole video we are
Alec in the cast, no.
well, it's that time of the year. We're talking spooky. It is October. I went on posting this. Hey, let me know what month it is when you're watching this in the comments below. And as it is the month of the pumpkin, let's look at some more spookier, cases. And what? Tell me, what is spookier than the vampire? You'll see more of him later. A feral vampire. Stick on your cringe because this is set in the 90s, the spookiest decade. And let's give it a give. To Florida we go to in this one. Why am I not surprised? Oh yeah. To the city of Eustis. Eustis sits on Lake Eustis. What are the odds? In central Florida, 45 minutes north of Orlando. Living there, a little over 20,000 people today. But we're not talking about today, we're talking about 90s, late 90s. Back then there was less than 15,000 people living in Eustis. What else was there really to do except fight gators? In all the lakes and shit that were in the place, and to just generally embody Florida, man. Well, there was one thing to do, let me tell you. There was a spooky graveyard in Eustis called Greenwood Cemetery. I just said it was spooky, but wasn't spooky? You could say that. Apparently, it's haunted. Oh, gosh darn it. Since the late 1800s, the ghost of a woman has been seen and heard. Ooh, weeping over a grave. Whoa, a person crying in a graveyard? Never heard of that before. Some spooky shit did actually happen there. We'll get to that later. So let's do the meat and poppies. I suppose it's Halloween, so let's talk pumpkins and bats. I don't know. And let's talk about Mr. Feral. Vampire Lord to you, mortal. He's pretty cool. I'm gonna join his clan. This is wannabe interview with the vampire.
Never knew what life was until it ran out in a red gush.
Reality, what we do in the shadows.
I think we drink virgin blood because it sounds cool.
Rod Ferrell was born in the town of Murray, Kentucky, population about the same as Eustis. In the spring of 1980, only child and teenagers themselves. His dad was soon out of there, off to join the military, and never really took part in his life. So his mother, 18-year-old Sandra Gibson, moved herself and himself in with her parents, where they would live off and on for years, with mother Sandra working as an exotic dancer and occasional sex worker. Now Rod would later say he was abused by his granddad, but there's never really been anything backing that up. As she was a young one herself, she dabbled, maybe stuck the baby toe in vampirism. Something. To be honest, she never really stopped. Years later, when we will get to what we're gonna get to, when she was 35 years old, she was charged with trying to sleep with a 14-year-old boy as part of a vampiric ritual, right? Where they would drink each other's blood and bang. No, it never happened. She got arrested before, but we'll talk about that again later on. But she did plead guilty to that. So Rod was kind of screwed from the very get-go, really, to be fair. I mean, really, from a young age, believing in just mad shit. When Sandra's parents bought a house in Eustis, Florida, and she began seeing a fella there, that's when they would travel over and back the roughly 800-mile journey between the two. It was in Eustis also that Rod, AO owner dressed in black, met a girl named Heather Wendorf, and that's when the real trouble began. Heather was the daughter of Naomi, school volunteer, and Richard, a warehouse manager, younger by 2 years than her sister, Jennifer. Heather was a rebellious spirit, some may say troubled, often fighting with her family over trivial shite, but when she met Rod, they fit together like pumpkin and spice. They met in school in Eustis and became close friends, but Rod would eventually move back to Murray, Kentucky, when Sandra broke up with her fella. And from there, Heather kept in touch, often running up large phone bills, which didn't really help family matters. Eventually, her parents stopped her basically from using the phone and calling Rod, which, according to Heather's older sister Jennifer, made her, quote, very angry. By this stage, though, Heather was a full-on member of the vampiric cult. Wearing black, on her school bag was a hangman's noose, hanging from it. A Barbie doll. You wouldn't want to meet her in a dark alley. Rod, you know, he bonded with his mother over like vampire movies, and she would say herself years. She went in headfirst, really. As did Rod. He became obsessed with a role-playing game called Vampire: The Masquerade. Wait, did I just say game? I meant real life. See, I've been mistaken this whole time. I've been calling him Rod. What is he, Mission Rod? Come on now. Get your shit together. His real name was Messiah. He was over 500 years old, if you can believe that. That was also the name of his character in that role-playing game, Vampire: The Masquerade. I wonder what was first. Rod was the leader of this vampire clan, emerging from Murray, Kentucky. This was something he was born into, saying he witnessed a woman being sacrificed by vampires when he was just 5 years old.
Whenever I was 5, they chose me as the guardian of the Black Mass, and then they'd have to sacrifice a human to the guardian. So they sacrificed anybody by me.
And this is when we truly see the undead. The vampire clan was in Murray, Kentucky, and it started up really when Rod returned from Eustis, and he started converting other people in his high school. In high school, he'd later be namely four Scots, Rod's girlfriend Charity Keese and Dana Cooper. All had difficult backgrounds and childhoods, all outcasts who found each other. They would hang out, literally, in a rundown building, the Vampire Hotel, in the woods of Kentucky. There they would party, do drugs, and engage. When they weren't doing that, they were hanging in graveyards, mausoleums. After all, local legends told of real vampires who had their graves in those very same woods, and sometimes rose up and stopped in ruins. I mean, look at him. Who wouldn't follow his word? He studies the blade. Despite what this picture conveys, he was said to be actually very charismatic. Hence why I joined his clan, you know, mid making this video. Sign me up, huh? They all had to do this cross over. Every person at this ceremony would slit 3 incisions into an arm and drain the blood into a cup. I mean, shit, yeah. Bit of water was added and then down the hatch. You're a vampire now, and immortality is on the cards. They were all vampires now, with supernatural abilities. And so they'd suck each other's blood. Rod would use a razor and slash his arms to feed. They dressed all in black, dyed their hair black even. They'd run away from time to time, out all night, and would often stay with Dana Cooper, who was a few years older than them, and she had her own apartment. She was out of high school, working at Walmart, but still hung out with, she didn't have many friends, so Rod decided this was life. And so they would have their blood rituals, their drug orgies, their seances, and this would then they would graduate to vandalism around the city. They would continue to escalate to mutilating and murdering small animals. And this would lead to birth events at a local animal shelter in October 1996. When a worker arrived at the animal shelter on the morning of the 16th of October 1996, this worker, she found that somebody had let the dogs loose. You don't have to guess who. Some had escaped into the surrounding neighborhoods, others looked like they had been beaten. And then a field over, they found puppies that had just been completely mutilated. So that's when word began to spread about local cults. Okay, maybe I'm not too keen on this whole getup now. The sheriff knew one kid who was dressed in black was weird as shit. And, you know, cult sacrifice kids at night. All that kind of shit. It's like X-Files. Rod was later arrested on charges of burglary, trespassing, and cruelty to animals. He would end up doing worse. Now, during all of this, Rod was still in contact with Heather. You know, as much as he could until she was cut off by her parents. After that, they did the old-fashioned letters, and she told Rod that her parents were abusing her. It was bad. She was living in hell, which you'd think for a vampire would be. And she wanted to, nay, had to, run away, become a card-carrying member of Ferrell's vampire clan. And Rod, he couldn't resist being the hero, rescuing her. The dream. In November 1996, Rod, Charity, Scott, and Dana, they all drove to Eustis in Scott's car, a 12-hour drive. Their mission? Operation Rescue Heather, and then move to New Orleans, the home of vampires, of course, and live together as a family, continuing to do their weird shit. They would all meet together in that spooky, haunted, wink wink, graveyard that day, Greenwood Cemetery, and there Heather herself would cross over, becoming a full-on vampire, a member of Rod's clan. Then Rod took some LSD, he was having a great time, and himself and his right-hand man drove to the Wendorf home on the 25th of November to steal their car for the trip to New Orleans. They entered the house through the unlocked garage, and Rod found a crowbar. Inside the house, Richard Wendorf was fast asleep on the couch, and while he was sawing wood, Rod beat him to death with the crowbar, fracturing his skull and his ribs. Pieces of skull were found a room over. He swung for the fences, said Scott. Moments later, his wife Naomi, who had been in the shower, came out and found Rod and Scott. Rod claimed he wasn't planning on killing her, but when she threw a hot cup of coffee on him, she had to go. Her head was then also bashed in with a crowbar. Richard was found with burn marks on him in the shape of a V. They then danced around their victims, stole some money, jewelry, and off they went. Heather was apparently unaware of all this. The clan then fled, all 5 of them now. Hours later, the Wendorfs were found by Heather's older sister, 17-year-old Jennifer, coming home from work.
My mother and my father have just been killed. I just walked in the door. I don't know what happened. They are dead. Both of them, ma'am? Excuse me? Both your mother and your father? They are not breathing at all? I don't know. I can't get that close to my parents. Is anybody there with you, ma'am? I have no idea. I don't know who's in the house. Nobody's there with you. But you brought with yourself. Sister's gone, though. I don't know where my sister
The police quickly knew who they were looking for. After all, Jennifer knew the people Heather hung out with, who she idolized, and so warrants were issued for the gang. A clan of teenagers on the run in the Wendorf's 1993 Ford Explorer. They had dumped Scott's car along the way. Now, Heather would say she was entirely innocent. She had no idea what Rod was going to do. And I'll say it now, she was never charged, or she was never convicted of anything. But others say, including Heather's sister Jennifer, Heather knew a lot more about what happened to her parents and what was gonna happen to her parents than she let on.
I remember telling him flat out, don't even go near my parents.
Why would you tell him not even to go near your parents?
Because he asked me not too long ago if I wanted my parents dead or alive, and I said straight out I wanted them alive.
When did he ask you this?
On Monday after school.
So on Monday after school, he talked to you about killing your parents?
Yes, and I said no. I said I wanted him to leave them alone.
So while they were driving from Florida to New Orleans, they needed a few dollars gas money. Hey, even vampires don't get Happy Meals for free. Shit. And so Charity called her grandmother, who lived in South Dakota, asking for, a bit of combustion. Charity's gran knew they were on the run and promptly called the police. She told them where they were. The gang were then tricked into going into a motel in Baton Rouge, where the police were waiting for them. Rod would claim, though, a few times that he was psychic, that he could read and control minds. These are powers he got from drinking people's blood. So, just crapped out on him that day, obviously. They were arrested 4 days after the murders. Arrested was Rod Farrell, 16, Scott Anderson, 17, Charity Reese, 16, Dana Cooper, 19, and Heather Wendorf, 15. Rod was a big fan of the attention, and this quickly became a circus. It was about as ridiculous as I look right now. Rod would claim at one point that the murders were committed by a rival gang in Murray, Kentucky, that he himself was innocent, he had no part in it. Vampires are all over the place just doing this shit. There were actually other vampires in Murray. One of that other clan was the person who Sandra was, trying to bang to do the crossing over thing. She was 35, he was 14. This is a letter she wrote to that child, vampire child. It's yikes. I longed to be near you, for your embrace. Yes, to become a vampire, a part of the family, immortal and truly yours forever. I only hope that one day you will once again return to Murray. You will then come for me and cross me over, and I will be your bride for eternity, and you, my sire. Okay, nope, not having it, not having this at all. This is just toilet paper. How do I take this shit off?
Alright. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this thing, buddy, because you know what you've done.
Pretty simple thought.
The guys from Lake City, or the detectives, are on their way here. They'll probably be here around 6 or 7.
Is it actually possible for someone my age to get like a death penalty?
It depends. I don't know what the laws are in Florida. When you're 16 years old in this state, you can be tried as an adult, and you're subject to adult penalties.
That's what I was thinking. If I wasn't adult, maybe death penalty.
Sure.
So I was kind of hoping, I was like, please, go ahead.
Probably going to entail the death penalty.
I'm sorry, this is just like a big fucking joke. My life seems like a dream, so. My childhood was taken away at 5. I don't know whether I'm asleep or dreaming or so. Whatever. Well, I know I can wake up in 5 minutes.
I can assure you it's not a dream.
So it felt pretty good.
Anything else you want to add?
I got a question for y'all.
Okay.
Seriously think I'm fucked?
Hard to tell. We can't guess the system.
I'm fucked.
Rod would later plead guilty, hoping to avoid the death penalty, saying everyone was innocent except for himself and Scott. But Scott was just an accessory.
And I didn't stop because he was still like breathing and stuff. I just kept beating him. Just
Lying right there on the couch.
because it was as he started to turn around, I saw he was coming out, and I just boom, right across the temple of the head. It knocked him cold. And while he was cold, I figured now or never, because if he gets up, I'm a fucking dead motherfucker.
Not do anything. Stop you from doing it. Watched you. Just
Just watched and smiled.
You got a rush, obviously, to it. Is that the kind of smile you're referring to?
He was like, just really like a happy, almost like a kid amusement park for the first time.
Before we get to Rod's trial, let me sum up what happened to the other members of the clan. Charity got 10 years. Dana got 17 years. Heather, she was arrested, but the prosecution declined to press anything, so she was free. Controversial to this day, the sheriff at the time thought she should have been charged. Also, Scott's involvement has always been a bit unsure about. You know, him and Rod both said he was merely in the house. He didn't actually attack the Wendorfs. Regardless, he was sentenced to life in prison. Rod went on trial in February 1998. His defense was insanity.
Would you tell the court about the Wendorfs and what you feel at this point?
There's a lot about life in general that I'm still confused about now, but the fact is, I myself was still under the assumption of what Heather had kind of ingrained in my head at that time. And no one had given me anything about, they'd given me the fact about their house and about where they worked and so forth like that, but nothing about the fact that they had value as people, or that they were really even human. In fact, most people referred to them as, you know, the victims, not as anything that would be described as even human. But once the trial and all started, they started producing things about it. And also, and just the expressions that was on his face.
The judge, despite his plea, sentenced him to death, and he was the youngest inmate on death row.
And it's not so hard for some of us to understand how a person like Rod Farrell, with one of the most dysfunctional family environments anyone could ever be cursed to be raised in, would have turned out in such a manner. In some respects, I think Mr. Farrell's mother, Mrs. Gibson, should be on trial for some of this. At every stage of the way, she thwarted every attempt to find Mr. Farrell the psychological help that he needed. Purposefully, advertently, she kept him from receiving the help that he so desperately required. Rod, I say to you, I think you're a disturbed young man. I think your family failed you. I think society failed you. But I also am here to tell you, in the considered judgment of this court, a troubled and disturbed youth cannot serve as an excuse for cold-blooded, premeditated murder, such as you perpetrated on the Wendorfs in this case. It is hereby ordered and adjudged, Roderick Justin Farrell, for the murder of Richard Wendorf, you are hereby sentenced to death. It is further ordered and adjudged, Roderick Justin Farrell, for the murder of Naomi McQueen, you are hereby sentenced to death.
He was the youngest on death row until late 2000, when both him and Scott were resentenced. Scott instead got 40 years, not life. Rod got life instead of death row. It's such a bizarre tale of vampires. Great, it's a perfect story for Halloween, and these are people who took Halloween a bit too far. I mean, they were all from dysfunctional families. They bonded over this. Pity it wasn't something, you know, good instead of what it was.
I had decided to take the darker path, the evil path. I found that more exciting. If it wouldn't have been the Windorfs, at the rate I was going, it would have been somebody.
Broad barrel. Point the character. Perfect Halloween costume, guys. Look at me. Look at this guy. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to do so and be here with me. See you as always real soon in the next whole video. Until then, please take care of yourselves. My name is Mike, and in this whole video, we're going to Bakersfield, California to talk about Todd Chance. Todd Chance was a chancer. He shouldn't have taken a chance in August 2013. Yeah. You'd think that, after doing this for a few years, I'd be better at introducing videos, yet here we are. Todd Chance, text messages you'd slap a ham to. The main issue in this whole case is, did she question mark or didn't she question mark? What else do you need to know? Let's give it a go. Todd Chance and Leslie Janae Chance, who mostly went by Janae.
You may remember a couple of years ago, Mr. Beast and Mark Rober teamed up to launch Team Trees, where they planted 20 million trees with the help of the entire community. And today was a big day because they teamed up yet again. The Avengers assembled once more and launched Team Seas, which aims to remove 30 million pounds of trash from the ocean. And they've called upon the community to help them yet again. And much like the Powerpuff Girls, I answered the hotline. I love a good cause and I love the help. If you want to help, I'll put a link in the description below. It's $1 donated equals 1 pound of trash removed from the ocean. Now, when I first heard about the project, I wanted to do something big, like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking fly a blimp with a giant fishing net dangling from the bottom and pick up 100,000 pounds of trash myself and fucking manhandle that and throw it on the landfill or something. I'm gonna do my part. But that's just not reasonable. That's like a supervillain kind of thing. Like, that's not a realistic idea. And we couldn't exactly just unsupervised go clean up anywhere in our area because we live in Florida. Most of the trash here is actual Schedule 2 controlled substances. Like, the trash on our beaches isn't like water bottles and bubblegum wrappers, it's narcotics. So we can't exactly just go like fucking handle that. We'll just get arrested for it. So instead, I just wanted to do a video here telling you about Mr. Beast himself. I want to break the magician's code and tell you about Jimmy off camera. You might remember a month ago I was invited by Jimmy to come up and play poker against him in a high-stakes $50,000 buy-in. And I got lucky enough to slap his cheeks around on the table and walk away with 50 grand. There was no smoke and mirrors. I genuinely did risk and win that money against Jimmy. And that's the first thing I want to talk about. Whatever you see in a Mr. Beast video is legitimate. Unlike Santa Claus, this is real. He doesn't cut any corners, even when it would be really easy to do so for the video. Like for the being buried alive for 48 hours, he could have easily just been down there for like an hour tops and then just made it seem like it was 48 hours, just have people do a bunch of different things, different times of the night. But he doesn't. He was literally there for that long. And no one could have like proven him otherwise if he just said it was 48 hours but was only there for an hour. Like, what are you going to do? Go to the site and check the soil, run a chemical analysis to make sure there was really a coffin down there for that long? Like, there'd be no way to prove if he didn't do it. But he does it because he is the most genuine, authentic man I've ever met. Being around Mr. Beast was like a literal inspiration to me, an experience I've never had before. If Jimmy had popped his titty out and told me to suckle, I would have done it without hesitation. That's how moved I was. There is nothing misleading in his videos. He is a genuinely positive and just great person. Like when he gives a car away or a house away, there's nothing attached to that. There's nothing shady there, no strings attached. He covers everything, so that way they never have to pay like a dime on owning it or anything. You know, it's not like I think it was Oprah. She gave away like a car and then bankrupted the person who received it. I don't remember the whole story, not to slander her. Sorry if you're watching Oprah. Don't remember the story, but the point is, Jimmy covers all of it to ensure that whoever won the item can just enjoy it and not have to worry about anything. Like, he just goes the extra mile on everything. It's incredible. Like, it is actually incredible. One thing that I often see when people talk about Mr. Beast is they say that he only does these nice things on camera for video views, and off camera there's no way he's helping anyone. And to that, I literally spit on you. Because that's a bunch of dog shit. That is a whole dog's ass. After going there and seeing it firsthand, Mr. Beast lives his whole life just helping other people. I was fortunate enough to visit the warehouse where Mr. Beast and Darren ship millions of pounds of food every month to their community. It was something like a 50-mile radius of that warehouse is receiving food from Mr. Beast and Darren. That's entirely off camera. It's just Mr. Beast, Darren, and his team helping out the community around them, getting food to people that need it in the area. And it's entirely done off camera because Jimmy has such a passion for helping other people. He doesn't just help people for YouTube videos, he is doing it full-time all the time. It is truly inspiring. And he treats his team like family, not just like the core crew you see on videos like Carl, Chris, Chandler, and them. He treats his entire crew, everyone around him, no matter how small their role is in the Mr. Beast brand, he treats all of them like friends and family. Like, we played a pickup basketball game with just a lot of people that he works with, that he considers good friends, because everyone is treated so well. He really does, just all the time, look out for people and want the best for others, and does everything he can to ensure other people are happy. I've never been someone that like idolizes someone else or like fights someone else's battles, unless it's like Brendan Fraser or Keanu Reeves or something. But with Mr. Beast, I have never seen someone use money like he does. He uses money not for himself, but for everyone around him to help them be happier or get them things that he thinks will make them happier. And I don't know, it was just something so like awe-inspiring, like truly. He was such a genuinely honest, nice person. And I feel like a lot of people have this impression where if you're doing nice things on camera, you're probably an asshole off camera. And yeah, for some people that might be true, but for Mr. Beast, fuck man, he might even be like a better person off camera. Like, it's actually incredible. I mean, shit, there was one time where we went to a place where they were filming a video and a nearby tree had to be cut down for the video to occur. And in response to that tree being cut down, he planted 100 more or 1,000 more or something crazy like that in the area nearby. Like, so, he felt so bad about having to cut down a single small tree nearby that he put a ton more in its place because he genuinely cares. So anytime you see Mr. Beast doing something like Team Trees or right now Team Seas, it's coming from a genuine place of passion. He really wants to make the world a better place, and I think he absolutely is. Every single time he's posting these incredible videos and doing these amazing things with the community. So I'm always super happy to be involved. Now, Mark Rober, hey, he could be a wild card. I don't know anything about Mark Rober. All I know is one time William Osmond tried to call him when he was over at our warehouse and Mark Rober didn't answer. So take that for what you will. I bet Mark Rober's a great guy as well, but I can tell you from firsthand experience, Mr. Beast is an incredible guy. There is nothing fake about that man, and I just wanted to share that because since doing the poker tournament, poker match, a lot of people wanted to know a little bit about like what Jimmy's like off camera, because I feel like, you know, he's not the kind of guy to say anything like this about like some of the incredible stuff he does for his community, but I'll tell it for him. I'm like that dad who's really proud of his son, except my son is significantly more successful and just like a fucking better person and everything than me. So, and I'm also not related to him at all. So more or less, I'm just like a super fan, like I'm a K-pop stan for Mr. Beast. I just wanted to share that because I was truly blown away by that trip. If I had to think of one negative thing about Mr. Beast, it's that he got me addicted to gambling. Now I just think about poker pretty often, like I want to start playing more poker. And that's probably a very bad thing because I got very lucky in that poker match against him. But yeah, that's like the only like negative thing I could even think of. The guy is truly just a class act, and I just wanted to share that. Team Seas is yet another incredible project that Mr. Beast is a part of, and What he and Mark Rober are doing is just amazing. I think it is a truly fantastic thing. So if you're interested, click the link in the description below. Every dollar you donate is a pound of trash removed from the ocean. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah.
No chrome metallic pit, no chrome metallic pitch black all day. The gas, no chrome metallic pitch black all day. Gas, no chrome. Gas, no chrome metallic. Gas, no chrome metallic pitch. snow chrome metallic. Metallic pitch black. Chrome metallic pitch the cast. No chrome metallic pitch black. The cast. No chrome metallic pitch black. Chrome metallic pitch black. They stop. Chrome metallic pitch black. Chrome metallic. Chrome metallic. Chrome metallic. Metallic, 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 metallic. Metallic, metallic, pitch black. That's no chrome metallic, pitch black. They stop perfectly past. Like I got Alec in the cast. No chrome metallic, pitch black. Days like I got Alec in the cast. No chrome metallic, pitch black. They stop chrome metallic, pitch. No chrome metallic, pitch. metallic and pitch black. Oh, metallic and pitch black. Oh, metallic and pitch black. Pitch black. Pitch black. Pitch black. Metallic pitch black, 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 pitch black, metallic pitch black, metallic pitch black. Pitch black, pitch black, pitch black, pitch black, pitch black. Pitch black, pitch black. Pitch black, pitch black, pitch black. Pitch black, pitch black. Pitch black, pitch black, pitch black all day. Pitch black, 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 pitch black all day. Stop. Pitch black, pitch black. Pitch black, pitch black all day. Metallic pitch black, metallic pitch black all day. Stop. Metallic pitch black, metallic pitch black all day. Stop. Overly passing in the mask with a flat face. Pitch black, pitch black.